Everyone to this episode of your Freedom Hub's Free Market Cash Patient. I am your host, Jeff Cantor, along with Charles Froman. We are sponsored by the Marketplace for Health, Wealth, and Freedom, and it is the Disruptors Intersection. And needless to say, we're having some issues out there, and that's part of what we're trying to address here. And in fact, we've added a new wrinkle, because here's the other new issue that we're all confronting with. What are we supposed to believe, and who do we believe? And boy, they certainly have their plans for us. So one of the things we're trying to do to break that paradigm a little bit is to work with the idea of getting third parties out of the mix and letting doctors work directly with patients. And to that end, we're tied to a free market app that is like an Amazon for doctors. You find the doctor you like, you book the appointment, you pay for it in advance. You see the doctor, and after you're done, the money's released to the doctor. So it's very clean. Let's detour for a minute into the site. When you come on over here, and it's either the abbreviation or the full mphealthwealthfreedom.com, there's an awful lot of drop downs and issues to explore. It's always expanding. Under the webinars tab, and then the continuing the conversation. Let's start with that. After you've had a session with one of these people, you're going to say, boy, that was so fantastic. I'd like to get more involved with them. What do I do? Then you're going to want to just continue the conversation. So you come on over and you get a chance to meet all these guests and then connect with them after the fact, so you can get involved in their activities and get on their blog or whatever they're doing that you want to participate in. Also, under the freedom tab, we do have our people fighting for freedom, and boy, it requires a fight. We're featuring all the most important issues. We try to move these out of here once they've expired or they're no longer valid, but sadly there's a lot here, as you can see, and they're all important, so you need to pretty much click on all of them. And then also the organizations that are trying to help make things happen, and we're adding to this all the time, so we'd certainly like more and more participants. And then lastly, we do feature a marketplace where we've got some really unique stuff in here for your enjoyment, especially under the situation we find ourselves currently. There's some pretty timely things in here too. And other than that, you would normally come to the webinar page, which is again under the home tab. And here's, you'll find out about what's going on from week to week. So we just had a show earlier today, and now we're here at this one at 7. We'll come back up here for a moment. We do feature the guests coming up, which is always fun to see. And then also you have the links to see episodes as this one, which shall be, all where they get posted afterward. There's an awful lot of them. There's some really fantastic topics. And sad to say, a lot of them are still as current as the day we recorded them, because things are still pretty dismal in many ways. But let's find out what's some good news, because we've got a really exciting guest tonight who's going to give us a rundown on what's happening with industrial hemp and also in some of the medical space. So Charles, if you'll do the honors here.
Gladly, Jeff and Jason, welcome. This is an issue that is important to any ambitious Renaissance entrepreneur of the world. The insane illegality of the cannabis plant. And when I was helping Governor Gary Johnson's nonprofit Our America initiative from the 2008 and 12 campaigns, with some arm's distance length there, we would coalesce with groups on various issues. And as libertarians, no surprise, marijuana was, an issue that was important to a lot of free market folks as a subset of the drug war, which a lot of folks blame for a lot of pathologies in society, the destruction of urban areas and the feeding of these, gangs and everything else. And we backed some campaigns in various states, and we're pleased to see about half of the 50 states now allow medicinal marijuana, and a handful more allow recreational marijuana. And there's a related issue called hemp, which I think some hemp entrepreneurs don't like, but maybe others don't. And of course, Jason will clarify that dynamic. Hemp is something that I think the government subsidized as far back as the founding of our country. maybe George Washington grew hemp, some people allege. But definitely it was subsidized, I think, in the World War II. It's been a material for ropes and seeds and oil and food and medicine. And now in the current market, almost every mom out there has a CBD oil vial, and it's grown so big that the FDA is targeting it. And I know Jeff and I at the Hub had some working going with the Heaven Sent Hemp folks over there in Tennessee, and he was talking about the FDA all over his farm for months on end. And the word is that, as this market grows, voila, government's going to want to get its piece and maybe apply some standards. But that's one of the pitfalls for any kind of new market that grows is the government pitfalls, the costs of doing business and compliance. So Jason helped legalize hemp in Virginia, got it going professionally, working with the farmers. And now he has Anavii Markets, which is sort of a wholesale warehouse for various hemp and cannabis products. And he's going to give us the lay of the land, the markets, where we've come, how is the medicinal side coming, how about other uses, and our friends at Big Brother, what do they want in compensation for allowing free market farming. So that's my intro, Jeff.
All right, that's quite good. Well, we're going to actually start it up, and Jason, sit tight for 1 second. We're going to begin with a little bit of a video that he's got here for us of him doing an interview, and then we'll stop and let him take over live. So hold on 1 second. Let's see if this works well.
Jason Amatucci. I founded the Virginia Industrial Hemp Coalition in 2012. And our mission basically is to get a network of hemp farmers, hemp advocates to change the laws for the hemp industry. It was illegal here, it's ridiculous for so long, and we finally, in 2014, we got the Farm Bill passed that allowed it for research in universities. And then we decided, hey, Virginia, we got to get on board with this. So we got the laws passed, and I actually was privileged to help write the first law. And we, basically to fight for the rights of people for hemp. Yeah, so it was really interesting. I started the coalition online basically. In the first meeting, we called for a meeting. It was 3 people. The second meeting was like 4, and it was 5. We just kept doing the meetings and kept telling people to come on and to educate people basically on what's going on. What is hemp? A lot of people didn't even know what hemp was, or they didn't understand it. What is marijuana? What is cannabis? What is hemp? So we wanted to show people that there's a different non-intoxicating cannabis plant that is extremely valuable, that is illegal, at the time. And Canada had an industry, the whole world had an industry except for America. So here we are losing out. It's sustainable, it's good for the environment. So we knew we had to make a change, from students to farmers to businessmen to teachers and just general advocates, and they just started to kind of group together, and then all of a sudden we were right there in the middle of making the law because one of the delegates, Joseph Yost, he wanted to carry this bill, and he reached out to our group and said, hey, you guys are leading the movement on this, so it wasn't all about just getting high and smoking marijuana. It was about industrial uses, and now it's turned into medicinal uses with the hemp flower. But and it was great because it just became a group of folks that came together for just the good of justice. Basically this crop, this beneficial, benign crop was illegal, completely illegal. And the 2014 Farm Bill opened it up for research, but only at the universities. So that was another hurdle that when we first started that people had to work.
All right, I'm going to pause us there a little bit. Let's kind of shift gears here. I'm going to stop sharing them, and I'm going to give you control there, Jason. I think that was a good setup.
Yeah, hey. So, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for taking the time here to talk about this important issue. Just a little background, I said there, I was 2012, I founded the VHC now. It's the Virginia Hemp Coalition. We took the industrial off of our name recently. I felt like that was the right course of action for kind of now it's not just industrial. I mean, there's so much with the health care and the wellness areas with the flower. So yeah, we're the Virginia Hemp Coalition now, and we are in the middle of, once again, a huge legislative year, and we're getting things done. Like we just got one of our bills passed, going through this week, which is raises 1% THC level that for criminal liability protection. That's huge. As far as folks that know, so basically hemp is the line drawn is 0.3 THC or less. And that means, of course, marijuana is on the other end of that and hemp is below it. So we've got 1%, and a lot of the cultivars are edge right on it, and 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So for the industry at large and for the non-intoxicating, cannabis marketplace, a wellness marketplace, this is huge. This is going to open up a lot of cultivars and genetics that we can work on. And we're looking to the future of even going to 2%. I think actually, I'm trying to wrap everybody's head around this, that, it's really about non-intoxicating cannabis and intoxicating cannabis when it comes to regulation, and that line being drawn in the sand. Non-intoxicating cannabis is hemp. It should be treated like oranges. It should be treated like grapefruit. Actually grapefruit should have more restrictions than hemp because it reacts with so many other things. If you really want to start pointing fingers at nature, maybe you would look at grapefruit well before you would look at hemp, because it's just, the World Health Organization has come out and done extensive studies and said it's tolerated in high levels. It's basically grass, generally recognized as safe. So, and that's another thing we're dealing with as well, is that having our own federal government and our own state government having to kind of battle with them and kind of having to push this, and them saying, well, we don't know what to do. And, with this, because we're kind of scared that it touches the stigma of marijuana, and, it's because it's marijuana, or it looks like marijuana. Well, it's got to be bad, or we got to be careful, or we got to take, 10 years to figure this out or study it. Which, we've known this for a long time ago, that this is a very safe medicinal substance that should be utilized for us all. It was one of the, in the early 20th century, it was used and prescribed. And it is, so we all know most of us know the history, I guess, of why this was made illegal. So we're coming out of the dark ages. Really great bill, SB 1115 in the Senate, and HB 2078. They're kind of identical to themselves now. Really big things happening in Virginia, though. We're really protecting our farmers. We've got the 1% protection. And then this bill also takes, if you do get a USDA license, a federal license, it will take the place of a Virginia license as well, and Virginia will recognize that, which is huge. So we really appreciate everybody getting on this bill and getting it through. It's going to make Virginia one of the best places in the country to do hemp business and to be a hemp farmer. I really believe it's going to give them a lot of peace of mind, especially with that criminal liability 1%. It's been a big issue for our industry. So about the federal stuff, I just can give an update on some things. I've had the privilege of working on the 2014 Farm Bill, the 2015 Industrial Hemp Farming Act, the 2017 Industrial Hemp Farming Act, and of course the 2018 Farm Bill, which eventually legalized industrial hemp and legalized hemp in general for the whole country and the nation. So right now, we're pushing on the FDA to come out and say, hey, this should be used in food. They're dragging their feet. This has been years in the making, and I feel like by now they should have come out and really supported this industry. We've had so much trouble with banking, and this has been legalized, taken off the Controlled Substances Act. It's not like it's marijuana, where it's still in the Controlled Substances Act, and understandably, I guess you'd have some issues with that, but it's almost like everyone can't get the memo that we legalized hemp, which is 0.3 or less. But there's a push, of course, for the 1% level, and the USDA just did a final rule which did say their negligence level was 1%. That is the final rules to go into effect March 22nd. And the Biden administration has said there's a 100-day, they're putting a stop on all sort of rules and things that are changing. And this could affect the hemp rules that come out March 22nd, but we're pretty confident that it might not really slow them down too much. But the good news is we're moving in the right direction. It's been a lot of hard work by advocates, just constant pressure. They've asked for comments, and they've got tons of them, and they are listening, which is good. We're not getting everything we want, but we are getting closer to where we want to be. So the final rule, I guess I could tell you all that it does some changes that were from last year. There's a testing phase with the hemp from 15 minutes to 15 days to 30 days, where you can test your crop. Before it was 15 days window between harvest. Now it's 30. They also pushed back the DEA registration to 2022. This is a controversial thing where they came out and said that all labs testing hemp needs to be registered with the DEA. We in the industry do not want the DEA to have anything to do with this. They shouldn't have anything to do with it. It's an agricultural and horticultural crop. They shouldn't have anything to do with it. They've abused their power in the past. And honestly, they really might not even should exist. But beyond that, hands off hemp, and people are tired of the DEA messing with hemp. So I think their days are numbered. They're still trying to be relevant in it, but I think sooner than later they're gonna be handcuffed here and not have anything to do with hemp, thankfully. And then we've got what are some other things? We've got we can use the stuff when it's tested hot. So when you have hemp that's test over 0.3 and below 1.0, then maybe you can use some of that plant material and for other things. Not the part that tests hot, which is probably the flower. But so we're moving in the right direction. As far as the FDA, again, though, they're supposedly working on this, like they say every year, trying to get some regulations out there. I'm from the camp that hemp is grass, and it should be a part of our diet. It should be just like everything else in the grocery store shelves. There should be no different. You should be able to go to a farmer's market and buy it. There doesn't need to be a high taxation. There doesn't need to be any special regulation. Of course, this is problematic for people that want to control wellness, control medicine, and tax it and have monopolies. So this is a disruptor, and we've seen everything thrown at our industry to slow it down, but it's not really able to because cannabis is too powerful. It's always been too powerful. They've thrown everything in the world at it in the past 80 years plus, and it still shines through. Now we're getting legitimate out of the shadows into the light, and I think this is a really important time for folks like here and folks that are listening to this that are interested in the natural side of things and wellness, that we have a chance to have a new paradigm shift of this natural wellness, where we don't have strict control, we don't have parasites all over the market. That's the biggest problem with our American healthcare system. I mean, it's the biggest thing we have, that we put our resources to in this country, even more than our military. So, which is saying a whole lot, because we all know we spend a lot of money on our military. So we spend so much money on this healthcare system, but then we have half of it, or maybe even more than that, being sucked out by parasites in the system that is not helping anyone. And taxes go to this, people's paychecks go to this. People can't afford their bills and other things they need to do because they have parasites on their healthcare. So, we need a system that's changing things, that looks to alternative methods, that alternative ways, that connects people directly, and cuts out the middleman, cuts out the parasites. They can go find something productive to do in life and go towards society and make a good service, and that would help us all, instead of them just pulling out. So Charles, did you have a question?
I do, and I guess we can probably just throw out questions going
Sure.
forward. There's a lot to go into detail on the various topics you brought up. Um, to focus on the medicinal side here, you mentioned the hemp flower as being sort of a new horizon for the hemp plant, cannabis plant. Are those words interchangeable for this plant, hemp and cannabis? And then maybe
Yes.
a little bit more about the flower and then CBD oil, how those things mix together or
Yeah.
don't.
Good question. I kind of also sometimes I just think that everybody knows the base level knowledge that I have, and there's a base level of knowledge, but you're right. I need to kind of explain that. Yeah, so hemp is cannabis, and I say that interchangeably. I say intoxicating cannabis and non-intoxicating cannabis. That's where I've kind of gone with it. So I feel like that's really the best. It's all cannabis. Hemp is cannabis sativa. Marijuana can be cannabis indica or cannabis sativa, but hemp is always cannabis sativa. But they come from the same. They're different cultivars, but they're the same plant. Back, all the way back if you want to follow it. But and so the line is a 0.3 THC. That's what they decided, and that's not the correct scientific thing, because we know that it really intoxicating cannabis is more 5% and above. Your really bad marijuana. Some might call it the brown frown back in the old days. That's about your 5%. And you've got your 2% or less, I would say, is really your hemp cultivars. That's going to give your higher CBD. There's so many. There's 100 plus cannabinoids in hemp and marijuana as well. So there's so much stuff that we have to discover. And one of the major ones is CBD, cannabidiol. That is gotten all the big press and the big hype. It started with the hype really started with CW Hemp, Charlotte, and they started this, and it started helping epilepsy, and it took off from there, and people just realized it had a whole lot more potential for other things, and so Colorado sort of put it on the map, I would say, and then it kind of exploded. So CBD, of course, we all know it helps with a lot of things, and right now we're having this mixture of, you got the hemp folks, which have a legal precedent federally, but then you have the FDA that has this gray area that's not really, getting behind it and saying, yeah, got full steam ahead with you guys, kind of giving some gray area, which is making big business investment and banking, which is the major thing, banking, and keeping them on the sidelines, which really hurts a lot of development. And then you've got, of course, your medical marijuana folks who want all of it. They want the whole gamut, and they want, a lot of them are pharmaceutical companies coming into the space and other folks, and they want to monopolize things. And then you've got the recreational side, which again, you have people that want to monopolize, and you got government involved, and they lick their chops with all the juicy taxes that they can get, and they're already spending the money that they're planning on these marijuana legalization bills. I come from the camp that this plant's for the people, and that it's not here to be abused and controlled. And so I think the whole mindset of it, that it's this thing that it's just, we have to control it, is wrong. But yeah, that's what the government and legislative bodies have determined is the line, 0.3 THC.
What's the normal amount in nature as opposed to 0.3 in that regard?
That's a good question. I mean, this plant is usually grown by, it's usually grown by humans. So wild hemp, is going to be, the ditchweed is going to be lower. It's going to be 0.3. You don't see a lot of wild marijuana. Usually it's, cultivated by someone.
Yeah, right. What, back to the basics for a minute, we were talking about the nature, there's, intoxicating and non. What's the nature of male and female plants too? Where does that fit between all of these?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of folks, when I was educating, a lot of them would say they thought that, that hemp was just a male plant. And I was like, no, hemp has male and female, and
intoxicating cannabis has male and female. I try not to use the word marijuana because it's a derogatory slang term, and I think we need to put that to rest. But I mean, I'm free with everybody can use whatever they say, whatever they want to say. And I accept it, and I'm fine with it. But personally, I don't like to really use that word because I just know the history of it and what it was used, and it was a bad word, like dope and pot and these things that are used in negative connotations. So I love the word cannabis. I think it's a good thing to call it. But yeah, the intoxicating cannabis, it's gone up to 30% now. I mean, and 25%. So they bred it to be higher and higher. And the cannabinoids go together too sometimes. So that's why you have these issues with the CBD. You want a higher CBD content for the medicinal qualities, but you want the THC comes with it. So, and that's interesting too, that THC and CBD counter affect each other. THC might make paranoia and CBD takes that away. So the plant itself, these are things we're pulling out from it, and the plant itself is just this one thing with all these things working together synergistically. So that's why we try to use my company, Anavii Market, as a cannabinoid company, hemp company, and we're going to get into all kinds of things in the future. But yeah, it's based on that concept of just how they have so much to explore, and we don't want to it's not all about CBD. I know it's popular right now, but we have yet to discover maybe one we haven't even really got into that much, or that has amazing qualities. And how do we get all these things together? But at the end of the day, full spectrum, the whole thing, kit and caboodle together, is usually the best way for health and wellness. Balanced nature knows. We could look at a banana. You don't need to pick apart the pieces of the banana to get all the stuff. It's there for you. So yeah.
You got part of my question answered, because I still wasn't sure, even though there's male and female in both types.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
What's the difference between them within each type?
So of course the female has a flower, and the male has the pollen sacs. When you do intoxicating cannabis, you don't want any of the pollen sacs to open and seed it all up. Of course, when you're dealing with hemp, when you're dealing with the flower, you of course same thing. You want to have that flower not pollinated, so it puts all its energy into the flower and the cannabinoids. And if it stresses, it actually will produce higher cannabinoids as well. But the males, when you want grain or fiber, especially with grain, of course you want the seed, so you want to pollinate. And so the female flower and the male pollinates the female. But it is not the males are hemp. And it is different because people say, well, why don't you just use the intoxicating cannabis and use it for the fiber and things? It doesn't really work that way. Hemp fiber is a unique product, and it needs to have certain attributes. And there's certain varieties, cultivars, that really are good for fiber and the herd, which can make the hempcrete, and can do all kinds of things. The animal bedding, my buddy has a really good business. It's doing really good, and it's called Old Dominion Hemp. And this is the kind of stuff that we need to really start using. Everybody knows about hemp, but it's just we need to start really using it in our daily lives. And it needs to be brought in for agriculture. It could be, the animal bedding could be used for a lot of the horses and the chicken houses and all kinds of things that we need. And it could be totally replacing, the wood pulp, the sawdust and things that they're using. So yeah, that's basically the main difference. I mean, they pollinate each other, and of course the females are the flower, which is really the medicinal side where you get all the cannabinoids at.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yes, please.
And I think Paul has a question too from his urgent care nurse coordination profession. I'm going to ask him after me. Paint me a picture, Jason, of the hemp farmer. What is he like, or she? How many of them are there? Are they regionally based? Are they focused on the hemp plant? Are they diversified? How mature is this market? Tell me about the hemp farmer.
Yeah, it's a very diverse crowd, I would say. You've got You've got your traditional farmer who, of course, hey, anything that makes a cash crop, a lot of them are going to be interested in it. But also there's a lot of hurdles. So they're like, a lot of this stuff is just too much for them to deal with, or they don't want to deal with it. So they stay on the sideline. But then there's some folks that are a little, want to risk maybe and want to get in it. And so you have a traditional farmer like that. Then you have some produce people, they're horticulturalists, and they get into it for the CBD side, and they're growing the flowers. Then you've got your people that just like, oh, I have nothing, I don't know anything about farming. I want to be a hemp farmer. We've seen that for so many years, and it's sometimes it's frustrating because you've got people that have no clue of what it is to be a farmer and don't even do any due diligence at all, but they have this dream that they're going to be a hemp farmer and they're going to make all this money. And usually see those kind of folks crash and burn. It's a big, like, a lot of talk, and all of a sudden it just when it gets real, they're out. And so we've seen this kind of shakeout of the industry. And I think this last year with everything and it slowed down a little bit was good. There was so much hype and all this stuff. And we really need the people that are in it for the long haul, the people that want to learn. This is not easy. We're starting an industry from scratch. It just was legalized in 2014 for research, just was legalized for commerce, really, for 2018. And we are building everything from scratch. And so at the end of the day, the market is the main push here. So people have to purchase things. People have to go out of their way and buy hemp and make so these companies will grow. They have to, buy the hemp food, the hemp grain. They have to buy the hemp bedding. They have to want to make a houses out of hemp and use hempcrete. And then of course buy the CBD, buy all the wellness products, and these you support these companies, and they're going to be able to have more R&D to have other products like and find new things with other cannabinoids. And then you've got some really sharp people that know what they're doing, and they're quiet, and they're positioning themselves, and they're learning a lot, and they're failing maybe, but they're also learning, and they're just going kind of at the pace that needs to go, and you'll start to hear about them in a few years when they start to kick it up a notch. So I think you've got all the different types, and it's all going to shake out here in the next few years.
Real quick before Paul jumps in, is that going on across the country or just in select states or pockets within states?
No, we've got a lot. Hemp farming has gone pretty much throughout the country. Of course, you've got Colorado, that's major because they've got the leg up on the marijuana laws and the cannabis laws, and then you've got of course the Southeast and in Kentucky, and Tennessee and Virginia, North Carolina, that are really becoming this region. The old tobacco area is really primed for being a leader in hemp in the world. But yeah, you see it everywhere. But I think a lot of people have shaken out this past year or two, and they just realize it's hard work, first of all, and you also have to sell it, and you have to do all these things, and people sometimes aren't even prepared to do any of that. They want to grow it, and they just think a buyer is going to fall from the sky, and or they want to make a product and they don't realize you have to put marketing to it. They just feel like everybody's just going to come knocking at their door to, with $100 bills. But so a lot of folks don't have any business acumen that kind of come into this space too. So we've seen a lot of amateur hour here, but that's to be expected in a new industry. You've also seen the Wild West, as some people would say, but that's not the norm. And as there's some bad players, and they're getting shaken out, I think more so than ever, and I don't see as many of those anymore. So, everything's. I always said it's going to take 5 years to kind of do this, and everybody wants it to happen now, but it really can't. It needs to happen in certain stages, and you've got to have the farming, and everything has to kind of fit together. And it's slowly coming together.
No, and it's good, like you said. Everyone's like a land rush, and then the reality sets in, and half the people bail, which is good because now the real players get to stick around and make it right. So that's excellent.
Exactly.
Paul, did you have a comment you'd like to chime in?
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, I can kind of give an overview of my understanding of hemp as well as cannabis in general, in medicine, and maybe we can just kind of play off each other as far as, any comments based on my understanding of things. But with hemp itself, because it is a fibrous plant. To my understanding, it's helpful with fiber, as with constipation, for example. Also, there's medicinal uses with dermatological, creams and whatnot, that can help things like eczema. Um, so, I mean, I'll start there, but yeah, and then kind of get on into the cannabis part of things. But any comments based on the hemp side with medicine?
Yeah, oh, it's amazing. I've been in the business for about almost 4 years now. And I have a couple of slides with my business. I can show you all a little bit about Anavii market, but it's, I've seen really great results from so many people. There's creams, there's topicals, there's tinctures. And then, so tinctures work really quickly, might not last as long. There's capsules that take a little longer to absorb, but they last longer. Anti-anxiety properties, that's a main thing. Anti-inflammatory properties, muscle aches and pains. If you rub the cream and you take the tinctures, either way, we have a system in our body, the endocannabinoid system, and it's primed for our different, just like we have different areas in our body for pain, and these things know the cannabinoids know where to go, and they have intelligence, and it's pretty amazing. And we have not had one person in all my years of selling all this CBD successfully to folks. And we haven't had one problem. I mean, I haven't heard anybody come. I think we had one person saying they gave it to their cat and the cat freaked out or something. And I mean, honestly, that's the biggest story I have in all the years. So it's extremely safe. We always tell people to start slow and raise their amounts, but really, I mean, like I said, the World Health Organization, I think it's safe up to 900 milligrams, in studies, and we're talking about 10, 20 milligrams per serving. A lot of this stuff. So I've personally taken 100 milligrams, 100, 200 milligrams, no big deal. You can definitely, you feel tired, you feel relaxed. That's the biggest side effect. I've had people tell me, every time I shut my car door, I've had pain. I've dealt with this chronic pain my whole life, and I've tried to take this and that for it, never happened. Boom, they take CBD. Every time I shut my car door, I don't feel anything anymore. So yeah, it's amazing. You don't need the intoxicating part of THC for this to be an amazing wellness product. And maybe I could show some of my slides while we're talking about it.
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Nice.
There you go.
Okay, so Anavii market. Anavii means it's a Sanskrit word, and it means kind of people. And my co-founder Annie Rouse came up with that. And yeah, so we have the Anavii market, and then we've got the AnaviiMarket.com, and we've got premium verified CBD. All of our stuff is third-party tested. We really are into making sure everything we sell is traced, tracked, no heavy metals, no mold, just really pharmaceutical grade, pure stuff. And it's what it is, and it's American hemp, and it's not coming from China and all this other stuff. And then we've got Anavii Health, where we are actually unleashing it this month, where we're going to have hemp protein powder and Anavii Relief, one of our patented CBD A products, which CBD-A is the acid form, and that it's better for inflammation and pain. So, people have said that's what they have, when they use it, those are the things that they have kind of had testimony to. We're not making any medical claims on anything, because of course we can't, but people can talk about their experiences, and I can talk about what I've seen. So yeah, we've got some really great things, and basically why Anavii, and we're looking as a third-party verified retailer for the network, and we're all about non-intoxicating products. We don't sell anything that intoxicates anyone. We don't sell anything that smoke. that you smoke. It's all taken internally, whether a tincture or it's taken topically. And then we've got the verified life cycle. You make sure everybody has to go through a process, and we have a lot of applications to be on our website. We get inundated with people all the time wanting to be on it, but we're very selective in our process. And we have the products cannabinoid spectrum and contaminants, of course, like I said. And then we're going to have Anavii Health, and it's going to focus again on educating new consumers. So it's that the education part is going to be a real big part of it. That's always been a theme of our company, educating. When you go to our website, you'll go to the latest hemp news, and that's our blog, and it's got tons of great articles by us, by our team. Anything you can think of, honestly, is there, and I can share that. We can share my screen and show a little bit of that as well. And then our new CBDA is an Anavii Relief, which is just coming out this month, which is right there. It's 20 milligrams and it's CBD plus CBDA, and it's got a really good absorption. I mean, that's really the name of the game in the hemp industry, hemp wellness industry. Is anybody can give you milligrams, but how is it absorbing? You can take 100 milligrams, or you're paying for 100 milligrams. But if you're only absorbing half of that or 1/3 of that, you're paying for 1/3 of that. Here you can get 20 milligrams, and if you're absorbing all of it or most of it, then you're paying for 20 milligrams. So yes, so CBDA, this talks a little bit about CBD and CBDA. Many folks might not know about CBDA, but it's, like I said, it's the acid form. It hasn't really been processed as much. It's more raw, basically. It's like a raw CBD. And the combination of the two are really good. And so this talks a little about, that's one of our little postcards. And if anybody would like to order from our website, which I'll show you guys in a second here, use the code FreedomHub for 15% off your total order. And I believe we also have free shipping on that as well. So I'll share our website here. So here's our website.
You're still seeing just the slides.
Oh, you are? Okay. Let me see here.
You might have to share this, reshare, but you'll select to show your.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Gotcha. You see it now?
Go. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. So here's our website, and we've got a great product, Overcome, and we've got really great reviews. Top-notch reviews. So we feel really good about our customer service experience. We're always available through email, through chat, on the phone if you ever need to call us. We've got our new stuff here on the main page, and the subscription for our newsletter, which has a lot of good information. And then we've got, of course, this blog that has a really great resource for anyone to use. It's Anavii Market, Anavii, it's 2 I's, and everything there with our categories breaking down, and it's just page after page of articles. We've got even an article, I know you asked about that, what's coming for hemp in 2021 under Biden, and what's coming for cannabis. I know you had that on the description. So we've got the MORE Act that passed in a couple months ago, and it passed in the House, but of course Mitch McConnell blocked it. But now Mitch McConnell doesn't have majority control, so the majority leader, Chuck Schumer, wants to make cannabis a priority, and I do believe now that we will get some movement on a marijuana legalization bill that will have of course social equity as a major component. And so it looks like there's some light here with that, and hopefully we'll see some effects with the hemp industry as well that will help that as well. But yeah, I think there's some good stuff ahead. And but yeah, anytime you guys want to go, want some up-to-date information, please check us out. We've got we really care about really care. Basically, that's the point. It's all about making money. It's about you know, making sure people are being cared for, and it can, and they're comfortable with what they're doing, and they're getting their knowledge base, because we are providing a wellness service, and we take it serious. You guys have any questions about that, or do you want me to move on to the?
No, that was quite good. I think that does a nice job there. There's obviously a lot to explore there. It's a very attractive site too.
Thank
I
you.
think Paul had some follow-up questions there, Jeff.
Oh, please.
Oh, that's yeah. I was going to say there seems to be an inverse relationship in terms of anxiety and paranoia. So what I mean is, it's my understanding anyway that products that are high in THC tend to increase paranoia, increase anxiety, whereas on the other side of the spectrum, things like CBD and the less active ingredients tend to actually promote or decrease anxiety and promote serenity, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right about that. I've seen it in my experience, and I've seen it with many people. Folks that take the edibles and they have those really high amounts of THC, and it hits them really hard. I mean, you can get very paranoid and almost to the point of feeling cold and shaking and just complete anxiety. And CBD actually counter affects that. So it's almost like, basically anti venom in a way. If you're feeling all this anxiety and then all of a sudden you take CBD, kind of brings you back down and kind of offsets it. Like I said, that's the beauty of the plant itself, which it has these counterbalancing cannabinoids, and it's bred. Of course, people have bred the plant. THC was never that high before, so we're breeding it higher out of its normal range because people want to get that feeling of feeling high, quote unquote. But THC was not hot very in these amounts, not 25%, 30%. And I think that goes back to your question about and nature. THC back a long time ago was probably more around the lines of 5%, 10%. Getting up there, and that's what they were growing. And then all of a sudden, you've got people, of course, selecting the ones that were higher and wanting to breed things that were higher and higher, and just do natural selection. And the plant had intelligence and knew what the people wanted that were using it. I do believe in a relationship between plants and humans. So that's kind of how it went. But yeah, I think CBD is an amazing thing. I think anxiety is one of the biggest problems in our society because we have such a stressful society with all the politics and COVID and all the fear. You turn on the news, you turn on any news station, mainstream news, and it's constantly fear-based. So people are looking for, a relief, and I think that the CBD is and other cannabinoids as well that we haven't even discovered really, that are trace amounts, might also be even more powerful in this manner. But we also have to find what maybe two cannabinoids work really well together, just by themselves, pulled out. So we're part of nature, and we can also play with those type of things as well. I think it's all on the table.
Very good. Well, believe it or not, we're actually coming to a close here tonight. So I definitely want to tell you thanks for bringing us up to speed. This was quite good.
Okay. Did you have a second for the VHC side or?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it real quick. We've got
Okay.
a few minutes to go for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to show you the VHC, which I found.
Oh, yes.
This is another good resource if you want to come to and see what's going on and support our work as well. And like I say, we're empowering for just farmers, business, and consumers. We're digitally protecting the inherent rights of hemp commerce, cultivation, and consumption. That is kind of our main mission statement now. And we've got, of course, all these great quotes. I like Henry Ford's "Why use up the forest, which are centuries in the making, and mines which required ages to lay down, if we can get the equivalent of forest and mineral products and annual growth of the hemp fields," which is really true. We got one year of hemp fields can equal 20 years of a forest growth. So it's just so sustainable. We've got the historic hemp farming in 2016 video. And then we've got, of course, you can become a business member, and these are our people that support us, and they're doing their thing. And we've got a great board. Lot of good people on this board. I mean, these folks really care, again, about they're not about profit or all about making profit or trying to hustle or maneuver or have a monopoly. They're all about just getting us more access to this plant, and making sure that hemp and cannabis get a fair shake and are legit. The stigma is removed. That's the big thing about it, is we've got to remove this stigma, unfair, erroneous stigma regarding this plant. It's ridiculous. And I think we just had a poll in Virginia. 68% of Virginians support full legalization, and 90% support medical. So we're getting to that, critical mass where it's just a done deal. Or what are we waiting for? I mean, the public opinion is overwhelming in support of these changes. So yeah, if you want to become a member of our coalition, we'd love to have you. We've got some areas to take action, to contact your legislators and your delegates, and we have a newsletter, and we've got some graphics that you can share, and some interesting things about how a bill becomes a law, and then some other little things you can download. So yeah, I hope that folks can maybe join our mission and see how great this plan is and how great hemp is, and we can all. I know you guys are really going to make it a part of your network, which is awesome. I think it's going to be a major part of the new paradigm for health and wellness, and you guys are on the cutting edge of that.
That is a big part of it. And again, what's nice about what you're doing is everything is a benefit.
Yes.
I mean, you're benefiting. It's not like, well, this is a benefit because I'm making a bunch of money, or this is a benefit because a bunch of farmers are no, the end user benefits as much as the producer does. So it's great. Unfortunately, the producer has to do a lot more heavy lifting that none of us as the consumers can appreciate. So I'm glad you pointed it out tonight, that there's a lot behind anything that we get to enjoy and benefit from. Somebody early on went through some real grunt times to make it so. And so I so appreciate you being out there as a part of that part of it, though, tonight, Jason.
Definitely. And you guys doing the same thing. It's tough what we're all doing. None of us, none of this is easy. We're going up against a lot. And I mean, we just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep at it, and keep building this future that we want to see. And, if you build it, they will come. We just got to keep that attitude. And who needs to be there will be there. And if we need to create our own thing, then we'll create our own thing, and be independent, mainstream or not. But I'm excited. I love to connect with folks that are on the same wavelength on this. And I think it's a food and farm and healthcare freedom, attitude here when it comes to cannabis. And you see this in the legislation right now, and I see it in Virginia. You've got all these people that want to control this plan and want to really, be the middleman, or be a parasitical relationship because they know people want it. But what I want people to have access to it, and, people can connect, doctors can prescribe, people can pay for services. That's what you need to do. But at the end of the day, like, this shouldn't be, this medicine shouldn't be out of reach financially for people. It should be definitely, but there is a lot of costs involved too. So there's definitely a cost, but we just don't want to see it be abused by over taxation, over regulation.
Over marking it up beyond reality. Very good. Well, thanks again for tonight, Jason.
For sure. Thanks for having me.